In this video, I'll show you how to create SML files and change them using Java. So first, you can find all of the relevant libraries on GitHub. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. There's a serializer, there's parsers, different coding, encoding libraries, but streaming I find is quite interesting. So what you want to do first is download those libraries. So let's just get the zip file here and let's have a look. There are all the libraries that we need. And then next, let's take a look at a setup we need to do in NetBeans. So here's the XML file that we want to convert to SML. So in NetBeans, first we want to use the libraries we just downloaded from GitHub. So let's create a new one as Java and a library. Let's call it reliable txt lib. And let's wait a second, there it is. So if you look at source packages, there's nothing in there yet. So go back to Finder. Now we've got this new folder, reliable txt lib. This is source folder. So take the files from the zip file and extract them to the source file. And then back to NetBeans, and there they are. Now we've got all the libraries that we need. Next thing you want to do is create a Java app. Again, Java with and. Java application, of course. Let's call this one reliable txt. And there we go. So this is where we get started, but before we do that, let's go to properties, because we still need to connect those libraries. So go to libraries, and then we want to add the reliable txt lib we just added. Go to class path, add project, not library, project, select the reliable txt lib that we just created, open it, hit OK. There we go. Now it's connected. Now we can start our little Java app here that we're going to use to change the contents of an SML file. So before we get started, we actually need an SML file. So here's a typical XML file. This one is about screen resolutions. So let's take a look at how that would look in SML. So there's a config file. This is the root node, and then all we have is the resolution, the dimensions, width, height, quite typical stuff, just regular attributes in this tag. And then notice the comment. You'll see later how SML deals with comments when making changes to the file. So of course we also need the config tag at the beginning, and then we just put resolution, right? And then we don't need to specify width and height, we just put the values. And then just to add the comment, you use the hashtag, and then again just by comment, it's a little easier. And then end is the command that tells us that the file is complete. So let's just save this as an SML file. And before we do that, the important thing is don't just hit save. What we want to do is save with encoding, and make sure it's UTF-8 with BOM. And now you can save it. hit save, right? So what that does is it takes care of the line feed and the way that new line characters are encoded in the file. Notice the XML file is 94 bytes, whereas the SML file is only 49 bytes, so almost half the size. So now we can get started with our Java app. First, we want to import the file, so we need a file path for that. So just put in string file path. If you don't know what the absolute path is, just go to Finder and open a terminal, and then just drag and drop the SML file in there. There you go, and there's your path to the file. Let's just copy and paste that back to NetBeans, and it's a string, of course. Bam, there we go. So now that we have the file path, let me just make some adjustments here. Oh yeah, semicolon. There we go. So next thing we want to do is create a new SML document with the contents of that file. So we just put in SML document.load, and I think, yep, it's still complaining because we haven't actually imported those. Import from standard reliable txt. There we go. Still complaining. Let's go back a bit. Okay. Yeah, let's just go back. Load. See, now it's imported it. We put in the file path, and there we go. That's the file path we just defined. And of course, we want to do exception handling because we're opening a file and the file might not exist. So we want to throw an exception in case that happens. There we go. IO exception. Next thing is the important part. This is where we make changes to the file. First we want to do get root, and this is the nice thing about SML. So the root node is arbitrary. In this case it's called config, but it's an arbitrary name. It could be anything. And this get root command just figures out what the root node is, so you don't even have to know what it's called. And next thing, we want to look at a specific attribute. The only one it has is resolution, so we just put in resolution as a string, right? That's what it's called, resolution. So that's one of the attributes in this config. And this is case insensitive, right? So that doesn't matter. And then we want to change those values, so we just say set values. But since it's just two numbers and we don't have to actually define which of them is width and height, they just come in that order. So if we want to change them, be mindful of the order that they're in. So width is first. Let's just double it, let's say. Yeah. And also double the height. There we go. So now we are making those changes. Now we still have to write those changes, right? We loaded the file, we made those changes, now we gotta save them. So we just say document.save, and there you go. File path, that's the correct one. It's getting it from the string, right? That's what we're doing. So now let's take a look at the file. Now it's 1080p, right? That's the resolution, and it has this comment, and notice how the comment comes after it. So once we make those changes and we write them to the file, the comment will be preserved, and it's only gonna update those two width and height values. So let's just run it, and there we go. Let's take a look at the file again, and you see now it has been updated. So we just changed this SML file using Java, and the comment is still unchanged, just the way we set it, even though we've replaced a line in the SML file. So this is what we did. We loaded the file, we made those changes, we changed those values, and then we just saved those changes back to the SML file, updating it. And again, notice the SML file is only half the size of the XML file, so that's a huge improvement, something I like a lot. So if you want to try this out, just go to the Stanway GitHub and download the libraries and start using SML in Java.